One of the ways to deal with the 5%'s point of view is to give them 5% of the lands. As it is, the hunters who are just 5% or less are monopolizing the public lands generally in the fall. There's nowhere you can go that's safe when hunting season opens. Shouldn't be how it is. The majority of public lands are managed for the American people. Then that 95% should hold sway for what they want. And that doesn't mean that the 5% should be completely cut out. They should have maybe 5% of the lands for 5% of the time. That to me would seem a whole lot more fair than them just simply taking over public lands and public lands being managed on their behalf. Like wildlife refuges, they're completely there for hunters. Refuge, it sounds like a safe place for wildlife, but it's not. They're completely managed on behalf of hunters. And I know that in the fall, that's the last place I want to be. And if I want to go there and see wildlife, once the shooting starts, I'm not going to see anything. Not only am I going to feel unsafe, but anything I want to look at is going to be gone. That's public lands and those are public animals. But when they go out there with a gun, I can no longer enjoy that animal that they've killed. Whatever they've killed, it's gone. When they wound, when they frighten animals, when they change ecosystems, that's my public lands as well. So you talk about everybody having a right. Where's my right to these public lands and the 95%, or if you want, the 90%, to go onto those public lands and have them unchanged by the hunters who are now holding sway? Once I was out walking my dogs, and a guy came along in his ATV, and it was hunting season, and I always try to be careful. I'm nervous I'm going to get shot, but I can't not go out. I just love to be out. And anyway, my dogs they'd have a breakdown if I didn't take them out for their walks. So we always go out. And this guy pulled up at his ATV and he said, "What are you doing out here? You can't be out here without an orange vest. You have to wear an orange vest." And he was kind and he gave me an orange vest. And that was just so sweet of him. On the other hand, I thought, why? Why do I have to wear an orange vest to go on my public lands? How come I'm not safe walking on my public lands? Why do they have so much control that if I get shot out there, it's my fault if I don't have on an orange vest? If we're going to continue hunting in this country, and we are, there's 5% that wants to, and I'm not going to say that they should be forced to do what the 95% may think is right, but it needs to be brought in line. It needs to be put in the 5% ratio. Our ecosystems need to be protected for the 95% and not manipulated for the 5%. And my sense is hunters would agree with that. If they knew this information, I think they would agree with it. So if we enacted a policy where they had 5% of the lands for 5% of the time, I would see that as fair. I would see that as just. And for me, the question is, what is just? So I think we can all be pretty clear that this tiny percentage of the population and then our ecosystems, all these public lands being manipulated for them, that is not just, and that is not justice. So we need to do something different. And I think that changing the ratios proportionate to the populations would be just. And then watching and seeing what happens. And I think that our animal populations would thrive and we would have much more healthy ecosystems. We would certainly have more natural ecosystems.